17 with my son. And when I was pregnant with my son, I ended up having a lot of complications. Well, one, I was grieving because I had lost my cousin who's on my neck right here a day before my birthday, and I was 14 weeks pregnant with him. And I lost him, so I had a lot of grief, but also had complications with my pregnancy. So I actually went into labor at 31 weeks and 5 days. And I actually spontaneously went into my labor at the end of my grandma's hallway. I was trying to get back to Oklahoma City to go see my doctor because I knew something was wrong. And it always makes me so emotional because I haven't really opened up. I opened up once about it, and then we don't really talk about it. But I got rushed to the hospital via ambulance, and my grandma, I've never seen her so erratic. And normally she's pretty erratic, she's really erratic that day. She's like, she's calling the hospital, get here. And I was like, oh, we're going to be there in 5 minutes. She said, I can get her there too, in my car. They said, ma'am, don't do that. We need to stabilize her. And so, we got to the hospital, ended up giving birth to my son. And I told them, I said, don't check me, because my doctor said that you could stimulate birth. And they said, we have to. I was at 8, dilated. And I was 100% effaced, so that means that baby was on its way right now. He came out 3 pounds, 13 ounces, and he had a NICU stay for 41 days. So during that 41 days that I was between those 4 walls, I couldn't work. I had to figure out how I was going to feed myself because I couldn't get on SNAP benefits even though I wasn't working. But because I could have an income, he said, Mom, oh, you make too much, especially for a household of 2 because I wasn't married at the time. So I basically lived in this hospital. I was also trying to move out of my apartment at the time because I was moving out with a roommate that I was living with. And I was doing it all by myself because my husband, now husband, was in New York and couldn't help me. He was stationed in Fort Trump. So finally found another cousin to help me out, and we did it both ourselves while I was postpartum. So I was looking at couches, a stove, everything, along with him. It was just us. Put it in storage, and then I basically lived at the hospital until my son had gotten out. Well, I had let one of my coworkers know at the time, so I was working at St. Anthony's downtown in Oklahoma City. I let them know, I was like, I'm pretty much homeless. And it wasn't because I didn't have family. I didn't want to move back to Ardmore. I wanted to show my grandma and my mom that I could do this by myself. I'm a big girl. Can't you tell? I can take care of a baby. If I was grown enough to have a baby, then I'm grown enough to take care of myself. And him. I was not. And I was only 23. So she allowed me to come stay with her. And so I was able to save money and find a little apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment that had just gotten renovated in the district in Oklahoma City. And when I went to go look at it, I was like, oh my gosh, this doesn't have a white refrigerator. If y'all need the joke behind the light, I'll tell y'all the joke later when it's not just me. I mean, when we're back there talking. But there's nothing wrong with the white refrigerator, by the way. But that was my status symbol. That's what I thought you made it if you had a black or stainless steel refrigerator or a 2-story house. I don't care what the house looks like. As long as it's 2 stories, you're rich to me. But she let me stay with her. And I stayed with her for about 2 months, and I saved up a little bit of money so I knew how to stretch that dollar. Sometimes I didn't eat, but most of the time, I would just eat little by little, like anything that she cooked or anything that she had left over, I would just eat it. Well then, before we had moved into that house, so I'm kind of going back, my son went in randomly. The daycare told me to come pick him up while I was at work. I had just got back to work. They finally let me come back, and I was like, well, what's going on with him? And they were like, he's acting really lethargic. There's something wrong with him. And I was like, well, what's wrong with him? I really don't know. We need you to come pick him up. And being a first-time mom, no one tells you that a baby can easily die. they normally don't want to stay alive. And I say that so seriously because I went to nursing school. I know, babies they really need your help. But I didn't know how to be a mom. It was just me at the time. So I went to, I had his dad go pick him up. And so at the time he was there. And I had to go pick him up and went by his house, and he kept telling me we really need to get him to the hospital. Well, mind you, the hospital was 8 minutes away. He could have already had a baby there. I drove 30 minutes to the north side of Oklahoma City just to go get my baby. put him in the car, and I'm about to turn into Integris immediately. And he's in his car seat, and I look at the little mirror that's in the back. Luckily, I got one of those in my baby shower. Looked in the mirror, and I saw him just drop. And he was about 3 months old. I almost hit 3 months because he was in NICU for 41 days. In the middle of traffic, I put my car in park, had no idea what I was doing, went back there and just slapped his foot, and he cried. He stopped breathing on me. Yeah. So I hurried up, and I drove 50 and a 15. Got my baby there, and as soon as I got there, there was like a line like this right there. And I stood there, and I had the baby, and I was walking him just to keep him away. And I was like, oh my God, somebody, well, all of a sudden it's like, God just moved everybody out the way. They let me through. I threw him down to make sure that I shocked him one last time. And I'm sure he's still shocked from that big drop. I knew I was going to become a nurse after I seen that male nurse at Integris, and I wish I remembered his name. I wish I could even remember his face, but all I can remember is his name joints. I didn't see him bump my baby out of that car seat. He scooped my baby up, and he jumped over a chair, got my baby back, and he stabilized my baby. My baby was having a stroke. So I went home that night, and I'm going to try to be quick, but I mean, you wanted a little piece of me. You got to get the whole story. So, still confused about what's going on, because I had no nursing background at that point. I was a medical assistant at that point. And so, they were telling me all these things that they called code blue, and I still didn't understand, but I also was in a state of shock, because what happened to my child? He was fine a couple days ago, we just came home from the NICU. They said, we want to keep him overnight. And I said, I can't. I have to go to work. They don't pay me for being off. And they said, you gotta stay here with him. I said, I can't. I gotta go to work. There's no one here. My mom and my grandma are back in Baltimore. There's nothing I can do. And long and behold, they let me go home. I say home, but wherever I can lay my head is home. I got back, and I got a call about 4 o'clock, and they said that he's having uncontrollable seizures, and they cannot stop those seizures. They tried everything, but now they called this pediatrician that's in Houston that they're flying in tonight, or basically this morning. They have to give him 3 liters of blood out of a tiny child. 3 liters of blood, because they don't know why his red blood cells are depleting right now. I heard it when I got to the hospital, and I said, what happened? They said, well, we have to intubate him. What does that mean? We got to put him on life support. I said, why? And they said, because we cannot control seizures, we've given him medicine, giving him the highest dose for his body weight, and we still cannot keep him out of seizures. I slid down that wall so dramatically. I mean, I wish I could show you guys, but it might be embarrassing. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anyone that was there with me at that moment, but I still had to go to work the next day. There was no maternity leave for me. There was no extra hand that was there. Now, am I the repercussions for my own actions? Absolutely, and I took accountability for that. The one thing I was not going to go down as a bad mom, but also someone who did not fight. So my son was on ventilator, he was on ventilator about 3 weeks, and not 3 weeks, I'm sorry, 3 days. And then finally he was like that, he's just gonna wake up, he's gonna stop having seizures. But the doctor was telling us, he was like, well, we can't figure out what's going on with him. They did every test in the book and nothing. Coming back clean, urine was clean, blood was clean, everything. They couldn't figure out why his red blood cells were dropping and also why he was having uncontrollable seizures. Okay, so that was a hard time for me. That was kind of a blackout moment for me, because that was something that I never thought that I would have to endure as a young woman, but also as a mom, but also as a person. That is the stress that you cannot manufacture. So, finally he wakes up, and I tell you all this again, and he's just looking around with the baby. He's over-breathing this shit, and I'm like, thank goodness, because they told us to call the military and try to get arrangements set up to marry my 3-month child. Traumatic. But that only put me in a better space to be here. Because I've had to overcome housing barriers, food insecurity. I've had to overcome a lot of our everyday significant